Hello and welcome. Let's talk tabletop. Today's question or topic comes from Adrian Lee. It says, I think a timely topic would be shifting to online D&D games of some sort. Which, yeah, nowadays is probably a good idea. Have you ever done that, or has it always been in person? Yeah, pretty much since I graduated from college, with rare exception, I've been playing D&D and tabletop games online with the help of Discord, Roll20, and all the digital tabletop services you can get nowadays. Tailspire is going to be a big one once it gets out of beta. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Yeah, I've done it a lot, especially if folks are too busy, or if you want to do like a duet game, one player, one DM. Play by post is a big thing where it's just like you've got a Discord channel and you just like type what happens, and then you go to work and you check, during your break, and you see what the DM says, and then you type some more, and when you get home you check it again, type some more, or if the two of you have like 3 hours on a Friday night, you can, it's basically like D&D IMing, but it can still be fun. Like I said, Discord and Skype is great. That's more theater of the mind, unless you're using, like, again, Roll20 or a digital tabletop service or something. And I'm not going to say not to throw shade, because I'm totally throwing shade. Roll20 is not a good place to be right now. Their staff and owners are starting to act like the comic book industry. They're getting really social justice warrior-y, to the point where they're starting to say, we don't want a whole bunch more middle-aged white guys using Roll20. We don't need you. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll take my money somewhere else. And yeah, that's kind of a tangent nowadays. Why the heck are so many entertainment industries like shitting on their customers and wondering why we're not buying their products, whether it be comics or the Bird of Prey movie or Roll20 or Marvel in general, if you're paying attention to some of those people and their social media. Jesus Christ. You wonder why you're going out of business when you keep insulting the people that pay you. What else? Online. And as far as online stuff, Discord is probably my favorite, because you can organize so much stuff in different channels and different, like, stuff that's in character, out of character. You can pass each other pictures and maps and stuff really easily. Anything roleplay oriented, it's like Skype. It's no different. But there's also the talk stick. I don't know if you guys have ever done anything like that, because if you get like 5 or 6 people into the same Discord chat channel, like talking over each other back and forth, if there's like a half-second delay, then you're constantly interrupting each other. It can kind of piss people off. I've started using what I call the talk stick, and I'm gonna butcher this story because it's based on hearsay, but supposedly when North American Indian tribes would go to war, and they'd be done fighting each other, and they send their elders into the same place, the same campfire, whatever. And, these guys hate each other, but they need to sit and make peace so that they don't completely annihilate one another. They would have something called a talk stick. And the talk stick was simple enough. It was a stick with paint or whatever on it, and you were only allowed to talk if you had the talk stick. And you would say what you were going to say to the other guy, and then you pass the stick across the fire. He would take the stick, he would say whatever he was going to say, pass the stick back. And if you didn't have the talk stick, you weren't allowed to talk. And if you did, they would banish you from the campfire. It would be a great dishonor. You'd have to pick it up tomorrow. Or some of them, supposedly, would have like guys from the other faction standing behind you with like a tree branch or something to just like pop you on the neck and give you a big welt or something like that. And again, This is all legend and hearsay, and I'm probably butchering the story, but it was very effective, apparently, to get tribes that hated each other to talk in a civil manner, the talk stick. So doing that on Discord, you would just have to be, as DM, you'd be like, okay, it's so-and-so's turn, and then you type that in, hit enter, and if somebody talks, you know, you mute them for 2 minutes, and that's their own fault. And say, okay, it's so-and-so's turn, hit enter, because, you know, you get, normally I play with 3 or 4 players, but if I lose my mind and take 5 or 6 all at once, it can get really hairy really quick, especially during combat or role play when there's no like turn order. Sometimes I have to revert to like talk stick mode, and that kind of helps. So no, I guess Adrian, no, it has not always been in person, because I graduated from college in 2012, 2013. I graduated high school on the 6th day of the 6th month of 2006, and oh, you would have loved to see all the super conservative Kentucky parents filling up the office at my high school wanting to know why they were graduating on 666, because they're Southern conservative Christians. But I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life, seeing all the Karens and conservative parents yelling at some office lady that had no power over it. Why is my child graduating on June 6th? Can't it be any other day in the whole damn calendar? No, not really. But yeah, and it's not hard. It's just you have to take your turn, be respectful, recognize when it's somebody else's turn to talk, so you don't constantly yibber yabber over each other. And especially now with all this virus crap going on, the people whose campaigns have been completely upended because they always meet in person, and maybe not everybody can use Discord or wants to use Discord. Maybe they want to ride it out, or they're not familiar with tabletop gaming, digital tabletop gaming services, which is why Tailspire is going to save everybody, because it's so freaking awesome. But yeah, most, if not all, of the games I participate in now are digital. I tried to go to my friendly local game store before all this lockdown nonsense, to like participate in like local D&D. You know, like a guy would show up with like 4 or 5 character sheets, and whoever showed up would just get to play that day. And when I went there, it was like 1 DM and like 13 people. 3 or 4 of them were under the age of 13 and not ought to be playing D&D, because they don't have the capacity to do the math involved. They shouldn't be playing. And I went over to the shop owner. I was like, hey, if you want, I can DM also and like split this group of 13 people in half. And she wouldn't let me do it. And I've known this lady for years now. Ever since the shop opened, I've been in and out of that store countless times. But she didn't want me to. She'd rather have the 1 guy and the 13 players. I was like, all right, I'm not going to play in that. See you later. So, it's been harder and harder and harder for me to get a physical, in-person game group going. But it's, at the same time, it's very difficult to hold people accountable over the internet. Christian, I know you're watching. People that like to disappear without a word, block you on social media, block you on Discord, refuse to answer your messages, etc., etc. And you can't really do anything about it. You can't punch them through the computer screen. So you can get burned a lot playing D&D with strangers online or through a digital service, because you don't know them, you don't know their life, you don't know if their schedule's going to flip-flop, or if they're just going to get bored and disappear and not feel like explaining themselves to your face or leaving you a nice email or whatever it happens to be. It does come with some risk, and in the past year or so, I've seen half a dozen campaigns just stop because people disappear and you can't hold them accountable over the internets. So it can be very frustrating. But now and then you do get a really good group. You know, otherwise I wouldn't have had Ocean Rim. I wouldn't have had what was his name? Such and Such and the Witches 3 or whatever it happened to be. A bunch of those were online games. And they turned out really well. The Rods of Calamity was an online game. So was the Dwarven Mountain campaign with the 5 relics or whatever. I don't remember what we called that. But that's reaching back into the past. That was an online game played over the computer, and other than having like a grid with like tiddlywinks that you can move around to represent like actual combat, you can do most of it in theater of the mind. It doesn't have to be in person. So Adrian, yeah, have I ever done online games? Yeah, tons of them. And has it always been in person? No. I hope those points kind of help you think about if and when you want to start a game. Kind of rein in your expectations, because people don't care. So if you can grab a bunch of people that you know that you can hold accountable, if they suddenly disappear or quit without a word, go for it. Otherwise, I'd say save your energy, save yourself the heartache, because it's not worth it. I have, you know, and not to toot my own horn, I have a little more clout because normally the people I grab online know who I am, and they'll stay for a campaign, if only because, hey, we're playing with T, or hey, we're playing with Absolute Tabletop, oh, we're playing with Puffin Forest, etc., etc. As YouTubers, we can kind of hold each other accountable, but random strangers or fans or anything like that, not so much. And I've been burned several times in a row to the point where I'm kind of scared to start a new campaign at all right now, especially now with all that crap going on outside. So, not to sound like a downer, but before you put a game together, make sure you kind of get in with whoever's playing with you and don't just pick up random strangers on the internet. So I hope those are some good talking points. Do you guys play a lot of games online, especially now with all these lockdowns and quarantines and crap going on? Or do you insist on it being in person because, you know, it's a tradition, it has to be around a table, etc., etc.? Tell me your opinions on this. If you could play a lot more D&D, you know, but you had to use Discord, would you do it, or would you kind of insist on your friendly neighborhood game store, or you know, your uncle's basement with everybody, you know, you're related to half the people? What's your setup kind of like when it comes to real games versus online games? Put that in the comments below, and let's talk tabletop. If there's any topics or questions or opinions that you would like from me, be sure to put them there as well. Hit that like button and all that other crap that YouTubers are supposed to say at the end of their videos. And until next time, keep gaming.